Collega, maar nu ik kwam uit Zuid-Afrika en sprak Afrikaans en het was vrij gemakkelijk te begrijpen. Ja, het is totaal gemakkelijk. Het is bijna gemakkelijk. Okay, so this is sort of a segment I'm considering doing regularly, where I sort of introduce a language. So, I mean, some of this may be familiar to people in chat, but there are also I'm going to be clipping this stuff and putting it on YouTube as well. See, somebody asked on Twitter whether Lindy Botes brought up Afrikaans as a language, asked if people were interested in it, and somebody asked, is Afrikaans, does it have like the declensions and all the other like really scary shit that that German has, for example? And one of the various cool things about Afrikaans is it doesn't. Afrikaans only has two articles. A definite article, which is die. There's no dal, die, das, die, het, de, any of that. It's all die. And the indefinite article is just although it's sometimes pronounced before a consonant, like English, really. There are very few verb forms. Everything there's just one conjugation. It's like, for like to be, it's ekis, yais, hiis, sais, onsis, is, hula is. And for the most part, that's also there's also no past tense, except for a few words. A lot of with is, with vase, which is the infinitive of to be, it's vos. And with think, which is to think, it's doch. But for the most part, it's just past tense and present tense are the same, except for like the I have for. So there's no gender, there's no declensions. This is Afrikaans. This is Afrikaans. I'm just talking about the standard version of it. Now, the one thing you do have to get used to is double negatives. Afrikaans is big on them. You always do a double negation. Yeah, except in really simple sentences, like if you say, I don't go, it's ek gaan nie. But the minute you start adding things to it, it's double negatives. Like if you let's say I want to say, I'm not going to Langsburg. Ek gaan nie Langsburg toe nie. So you have ek gaan nie, that's negative number one, Langsburg toe nie. And that's basically it. It is, if you know Dutch, it's going to be really easy because you've already got a lot of the vocabulary. What you have to get used to is that they assimilate certain things. So the IJ becomes a Y. And ch, all the ch's, whether it's written in Dutch with a G or written with a CH, it's all written with a G. So like Nacht becomes Nach, N-A-G. Wacht, for to wait, is Wach, W-A-G, and stuff like that. And the rest of it, one of the fascinating things about it is the other languages that it is developed from, because the way Afrikaans originated is from Malay people who had been abducted from Malaysia and brought over to do slave labor in South Africa by Dutch people, by Dutch colonizers, and they learned, Dutch was the language that they were being spoken to in constantly. They had to find some way to engage with it, and so they started to so they developed this language. In fact, the first writings in Afrikaans that we have are written in Arabic script, because that was the main Malay writing system at the time. And as it developed, it also picked up a lot of English. It picked up a lot of Bantu and Khoisan words, indigenous South African words, and some French. And the result is it's just a really interesting language. And as a bonus, people code switch all the time in Afrikaans. If you can't think of a word in Afrikaans, you can just throw in the English word and nobody will bat an eyelash. That's just how people speak it. Ja, denk je dat ik materiaal kan vinden om Afrikaans in het Nederlands te leren? Oh, ja, ik denk het is mogelijk. Ik denk het is mondelijk. Ik weet niet wat voor materiaal er is niet, maar het is goed mogelijk. I'm sure that there's stuff for Dutch to teach Dutch speakers Afrikaans. And I mean, if you've already got that much Dutch, what I would actually suggest is to jump in. There's a detective novel author, Deon Meyer. He writes in Afrikaans. His books are available in Afrikaans as Kindle books, and Audible has the Afrikaans books on tape for at least some of them. And if you know Dutch already, then you will I think you will pick it up very quickly just reading the books. In fact, that was a big help for me in learning colloquial Afrikaans. Yeah, I mean, they have them in a bunch of languages, so make sure that what you've got is actually the Afrikaans edition. It'll say Afrikaans, you'll be able to tell.